11:47 a.m.
Hi, baby. Baby, you have to listen to me carefully. I'm on a plane that's been hijacked. I'm on the plane. I'm calling from the plane. I want to tell you I love you. Please tell my children that I love them very much. And I'm so sorry, babe. I hope to be able to see your face again, baby. I love you. Bye.
Jules, this is Ryan. Listen, on an airplane that's been hijacked. If things don't go well, and it's not looking good, I just want you to know I absolutely love you. I want you to do good. So happy to time. Same to my parents and everybody. And I just totally love you, and I'll see you later. Bye, babe.
What are those people going to do? All the elevators are blocked out.
In a country that most people would struggle to find on a map, in a compound that few possess the courage to enter, men from my previous life took the fight to our enemy. In that compound, they found men that pray 5 times a day for your destruction. Those men don't care about your religious beliefs. They don't care about your political opinions. They don't care if you sit on the left or the right, liberal or conservative, pacifist or warrior. They don't care how much you believe in diversity, equality, or freedom of speech. They don't care. I'm sorry you've never smelled the breath of a man who wants to kill you. I'm sorry you've never felt the alarm bells ringing in your body, the combination of fear and adrenaline as you move towards the fight instead of running from it. I'm sorry you've never heard someone cry out for help or cried out for help yourself, relying on the courage of others to bring you home. I'm sorry you've never tasted the salt from your own tears as you stand at flag-draped coffins burying men you were humbled to call your friends. I don't wish those experiences on you, but I do wish you had them. Most will never understand the sacrifice required to keep evil men like those from that distant compound away from our doorstep. But it would not hurt you to try and understand. It would not hurt you to take a moment to respect the sacrifices that others make on your behalf, whether they share your opinions or not. It would not hurt you to take a moment to think of the relentless drain on family, friends, and loved ones that are left behind, sometimes for weeks, sometimes for months, sometimes for years, sometimes forever. Ideas are not protected by words. Paper and ink may outline the foundation and principles of this nation, but it is blood, only blood, that protects it. In that dusty compound, a man you have never met gave everything he had so that you have the freedom to think, speak, and act however you choose. He went there for all of us, whether you loved or hated what he stood for. He went there to preserve the opportunity and privilege to believe, to be, and to become what we want. You have the choice every day as to which category you want to be in which direction you want to move. You have that choice because the best among us, the best we ever had to offer, fought and bled and died for it. Don't ever forget that.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Alfie, you look like you've been crying, bro.
Please, son.
You look like you've been crying. Your eyes are poofy. You got some allergies, bro?
No, that's just called being tired, bro. That's all that is.
Oh, okay. All right, guys. Well, welcome to SITREP. Making Alpha come in and do his duty while his Niners are playing. But you know what? I had to go through it already with Green Bay, so now you got to go through it with San Fran. It's going to be an extra long show tonight. I talked with G. He said we're good to go 3 hours.
Well, just in case, I have it right here, so I'm watching it.
So we won't have Alpha's attention all evening. So you'll see him come back in and do like his, I don't know, like some generic response. I can't even mess with him, man. Dude's like 30 minutes late this morning. So what was your excuse this morning? You never gave me the excuse.
There was no excuse this morning.
Just a shitbag, man. Now I got to call you every day. Got to go back to calling you every morning, making sure that you wake up, getting the radio checks.
I stayed up too late working. That's all that happened.
Oh man, what a wimp. What a wimp. Can't hang it with the early days. All right, guys. So before we get into tonight's show, we're going to go ahead and get a word from our sponsors. And first up, we've got our friend Jordan over at Conscious Strength. Maha yourself with supplements that don't suck. You know, I can hear Jordan when I say that. Supplements that don't suck. Like I can hear him in my head when I say that. Yeah, Maha yourself with supplements that don't suck from Conscious Strength. Founded by Badlands' very own Jordan Sather in 2019, Conscious Strength products are made in America and won't break your bank. Unlike other online brands, their lineup includes collagen for strengthening joints and hair, electrolytes to get rid of those cramps. You got greens powder that tastes good and mixes easy. You got the Shilajit gummies. I think that's how you say that. Methylene blue, zeolite, and more. Flip the finger, pharma, be your own doctor, and get supplements that you can trust from Conscious Strength. Go to badlandsmedia.tv/strength to shop now. One more time, that's badlandsmedia.tv/strength. And the link will be in the description down below as well.
And that electrolytes is inside this water here right now, as a matter of fact.
So that's what it is. That's why your eyes are poofy.
No, that's just tired, bro. That's just being tired.
Just being tired. Being a little vajayjay.
I like you. I like to see you survive on my sleep schedule, baby.
Are you kidding me, man? I don't go to bed before 1 and I'm up at 6 every morning. Every morning.
You don't sleep before 11 o'clock. What are you talking about?
Bullshit, guys. Van Man taking down big toothpaste with their all-natural oral care, pure, effective ingredients for a healthier smile. The Van never stops. Now you can try Van Man's new chewing gum as an all-natural alternative to traditional chewing gum with none of the synthetics and plastics found in the big-name gum. Instead, it has all the tools to remineralize your teeth and keep them healthy. Powdered with hydroxyapatite, nature's secret weapon, loaded with minerals like eggshells and bone, two of the best forms of calcium to remineralize your teeth and build strong bone tissue. Van Man's tooth powder combined with pulling oils and peppermint aloe mouth rinse is truly the ultimate fluoride-free dental hygiene bundle that saves you 25% off the individual prices. Head over to badlandsmedia.tv/vanman to hop in the van for the ultimate way to care for your teeth naturally. Again, that's badlandsmedia.tv/vanman. All right.
You know, we could always put the game on SITREP, just saying.
We might have some licensing issues if we do that. I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh, I'll tell you
It's
what.
Looking good, though.
You know, you're probably going to see a quarterback controversy.
Yeah, I know. Matt Jones. Yeah. Did they bench Purdy or is he hurt?
No, he re-aggravated it. But I think there's two things that are probably going to end up happening. Not to make this a man show instead of SITREP, but now you're in a position where you can give Birdie that extra week or two to get 100% and not play at 85, 90% and, react, irritated again. But in that time, in that window, like Mac Jones he plays fast ball.
Yeah.
And that's consistent with the old school San Francisco, run and shoot offense. So it's going to be interesting. But with that, I
he had
gotta
that
go
nice back shoulder.
I need to take my meat off the grill, so I'll be right back.
He's going to take his meat off the grill. All right, guys. So on tonight's show, what we're going to do, since it is SITREP and it's a veteran show, we've both gone through and clipped some of our favorite parts of Pete Hegseth's speech and Donald Trump's speech, President Trump's speech from earlier this week on Tuesday. And I think it was a really good speech. If you've read The War Against the Warfighter, The War on Warriors, then a lot of that speech comes straight from that book. But, I think it'll be interesting to go through and listen to some of the things that Hegseth says in here, and then be able to put our personal assessments, our personal aspects and stuff to it, because I know there's a lot of things that he says in there that, me and Alpha both will be like, yeah, that's what we need to get back to, or that's what we need to do with the military, that kind of stuff. And the craziest part about it, and I kind of want to stall here until Alpha gets back, because I thought this was downright hilarious. Not damn near hilarious. It was downright hilarious. Is the fact that Pete Hegseth is sitting there addressing a room full of generals, be it, 1-star all the way up to 4-star, and their staff. And like almost every single person in that room that's not enlisted outranked Pete Hegseth when he was a major in the Army. That's the highest rank that he achieved, was a major, which is, an 04. And he's talking to a bunch of, 07s and 8s and 9s. And it was funny, man. I thought that was pretty funny. And Hegseth, kind of played to that. Like, I feel like he knew that these guys were probably looking at him, and this was going to be a tough speech for him, because he knew that this was a room full of people that probably think they know more than him. And to be honest with you, I'm just going to be honest, they probably do. A lot of those majors, or excuse me, a lot of those generals in that room, have PhDs, have their masters, they all get this throughout their education. Once they get to a certain rank, they're focused a lot on school and that kind of stuff. And so, I really think, what's up, man? Did you hear what I was saying?
Yeah. I could still hear you.
Okay. So, I was saying that I think it's interesting that Hegseth is addressing a crowd full of people that think they're superior to him. And did you get that same feeling?
Well, they don't think they're superior to him. They are convinced that they are superior to him.
Well, and so that's the thing. And I'll push back on that. They are superior in terms of their knowledge. They are superior to him.
But knowledge to what type of Department of Defense? The established one that is shifted?
Exactly.
And that's a difference, Yes. You can, I always use law enforcement because it's what I can relate to. You can, I'm going to insult some people here, but that's okay. You can send me to some podunk county, back east somewhere, where you got a cop that's been a cop for 30 years. And I'll go over there, and with the level of experience I have doing the actual work, we'll dance circles around them. So, time of grade doesn't always equal experience. And, I would say that now, granted, with the way the operational side of the way it's always ran, they're used to that. But I think Trump and the team have shown us that they're not doing business as usual anymore. So,
well, my takeaway from the speech was that Hegseth is in that position because he's a warfighter, not because he's educated, went to college, went to the war college, went to, whatever, got his master's or whatever. And he does have, what's that?
He's a Spartan, bro. He's a fighter.
Exactly. So
he's not brass the way we talk about it. He's not your typical brass.
Yeah, I agree with that statement wholeheartedly. So let's go ahead and jump in. We got a few clips. We started out with General Kane, just because I think it's awesome to see him up there. And Alpha, can tell you he's Alpha likes Raising Kane a little bit. Did it really? Hold on. Did it record the beginning there? Oh, man. Sorry about that.
Glad there's pull-up bars just outside. The SEALs in the corner out there are very happy about that. I regret to inform you there will not be a PT test after this event because I know you all would crush it. Last night, I had the privilege of joining the Secretary and the Joint Chiefs in honoring 50 Gold Star families at the White House as the President, the First Lady, and our nation honored their loved ones' service and sacrifices. Teammates, it was a quiet and deeply meaningful event that reminded all of us that were lucky enough to be there of the serious and unforgiving nature of the business that we are in, fighting and winning our nation's wars. Leaders, we are living in dynamic and potentially dangerous times. Global risk is on the rise. Our adversaries are no longer aligning, they are aligned. And we must align with equal resolve and unity. Even as we strive for and seek peace, we must be prepared for war. Now, more than ever, it is vital that we hear from our civilian leaders, understand where they're taking the department and the joint force. And today, we have the unprecedented opportunity and honor to hear directly from the Secretary of War, and our Commander-in-Chief. Together, you and I and our civilian leaders have the honor of leading the finest military in the world. And we must seize every opportunity, every day, to prepare our joint force for the future. I am deeply humbled to serve with each and every one of you. And now it is my distinct honor to introduce our nation's Secretary of War, the Honorable Pete Hegseth.
All right, so we can just pause there real quick. The one thing I thought was interesting about what General Kane said was that our enemies are not aligning with each other; they're already aligned. I thought that was interesting. You know, like, and they make a couple allusions throughout these speeches to our enemies, but they never say who it is. The only country that gets named is China. Well, I thought that was interesting.
The other significant thing there too is it means that they know conclusively who our enemies are. It's no longer a game of speculation.
Oh shit, Alpha. E.H. Kyle says, I tried to tell Josh and Alpha the other night that Trump's lapel pin was an F-22, according to you, not an F-35. Alpha said you were high. Can you straighten him out? Bro, that was an F-22.
It's not an F-22.
It's 100% F-22. Me and Gordon both went over this on Daily, and I corrected him on it, and he looked at it, and then we pulled up silhouettes of both, and he said, yeah, you're right. It's an F-22.
It's not an F-22.
It is an F-22.
It's not an F-22.
It is absolutely an F-22.
It's not an F-22.
All right, here's the next clip.
Please take your seats.
I don't think I play the whole thing. I think I cut this.
It's a great speech either way.
It is.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
like makes you want to read
Joint Chiefs, generals, admirals, commanders, officers, senior enlisted, NCOs, enlisted, and every member of our American military. Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the War Department. Because the era of the Department of Defense is over. You see, the motto of my first platoon was those who long for peace must prepare for war. This is, of course, not a new idea. This crowd knows that. The origin dates to the 4th century Rome and has been repeated ever since, including by our first commander-in-chief, George Washington, the first leader of the War Department. It captures a simple yet profound truth. To ensure peace, we must prepare for war. From this moment forward, the only mission of the newly restored Department of War is this: warfighting. Preparing for war and preparing to win. Unrelenting and uncompromising in that pursuit. Not because we want war. No one here wants war. But it's because we love peace. We love peace for our fellow citizens. They deserve peace, and they rightfully expect us to deliver it. Our number one job, of course, is to be strong so that we can prevent war in the first place. The president talks about it all the time. It's called peace through strength. And as history teaches us, the only people who actually deserve peace are those who are willing to wage war to defend it. That's why pacifism is so naive and dangerous. It ignores human nature and it ignores human history. Either you protect your people and your sovereignty, or you will be subservient to something or someone. It's a truth as old as time. And since
All right. Apparently, I didn't make these cuts because this is just going straight through.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. You know, one of the things that he said there while you search for your next marker, we have one mission moving forward. Only one. War fighting. Like, that's very significant. Not humanitarian aid, not reestablishing governments around the world, not doing, not protecting freaking opium fields. It's war fighting. If and I believe it does, the actions that they've done so far match the rhetoric. And if this continues at the pace they're doing, I mean, we're talking like a lethal military again.
I know. I'm excited about that.
I posted this on social media today. You've seen all the recruiting posters for, join ICE, join ICE, and the kind of the way they're doing them. And doesn't it kind of give you like this World War II recruiting poster feel, with like the Uncle Sam?
It's got Patton's army. The background is, the Patton speech. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. It kind of has that feel, and I mean, warfare. Well, here's the other thing, and I like your thoughts on this too before we go back to the war secretary. We know that kinetic warfare is like, it's almost obsolete the way we've known it.
Yes.
We're looking at guerrilla warfare, bio warfare, information psychological warfare, more strategic when it comes to the kinetic side of it. But the day, like the shit we saw is, they're going to try to push us to a false flag to get there. But the stuff we saw is we're probably not going to see wars like that anymore.
Right.
It's going to be very high tech. And so what do you think it's going to look like here? Because here's the thing. And I think me and you talked about this. I don't know if we talked about it offline or online. And I think it was the conversation was with you. I'm anti-fake war. I'm not about the banking wars. I'm not about, doing coups around the world. I'm against that. But if there's a righteous, legitimate war, I'm all about, let's go snatch souls. Let's snatch souls and help people meet their God. I'm all about that with zero hesitation.
So what does a righteous war look like for us?
The definition of the identification of the enemy is where I think things are going to be difficult, because we know the war is not with the peoples of other countries, because we know this deep state has manipulated so many governments. And so if we have that understanding, then our wars would look like a kinetic war, but with the pawns of the deep state. Now, this is me being honest, and correct me, and people could push back and they're not going to like this. You're going to have innocent people from those countries that aren't going to know that they're being controlled by a deep state, and they're going to volunteer for these wars that are meant to inflict some type of damage to us or the sovereign alliance, and they're going to get killed for it. And not because they're evil, it's just because they were hoodwinked, like many of us were.
Yep.
And I think initially that's what it'll probably look like, unless there's some way you can do a freaking global memo that exposes all these freaking, you know, deep state actors in all these countries to their citizens. Because here's the other thing. Now, would be the best case scenario. Are we talking about not a revolution in the United States, but a global revolution? You know, where you see humanity, you know, crossing borders to take on, you know, the corrupt governments that have established these strongholds throughout the world. Do we see something like that? You know, I'm all about that too.
I don't know. I don't know how we would have a traditional war, like, you know, think World War II. And even that wasn't, you know, that was traditional in the sense that, you know, there was occupying land and all that. But every war since then has been a proxy war to kind of, you know, continue the Cold War, right? Russia goes into Afghanistan, gets their asses kicked in there by the Mujahideen. We turn around, go into Iraq and Afghanistan, fighting a proxy war against Russia. Although at the same time, we're also helping Russia when they were fighting up in, when they were fighting the Chechens, not fighting the Chechens. Were they? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but either way, like my problem is I don't know where we're going to see, you know, a quote unquote traditional war, which is one of the reasons why I was so happy that they changed the name of Department of Defense to Department of War, because, you know, Department of Defense, you know, implies that we're just going to hang out in America and wait for something to happen to us.
I mean, it could be something, Ken, as far as you see these corrupt governments, you know, barricade themselves in the capitals or these, you know, military bases, and we go in and we fight alongside the actual people of those countries.
I mean, at that point, now you're just playing the same game that we've been playing forever,
Yeah.
except we're saying this time it's the good guys, and
that's the asterisk there.
yeah,
And that's the part that I know people don't want to hear. But here's the thing: there are evil people that are in control of tanks. There are evil people that are in control of fighter jets. There are evil people that are in control of bombers and missile silos. I mean, there are evil people in control of that shit. And they're not going to hand over the keys to those things. They're not. They're not going to hand it over to a legitimate, elected government from their countries. And we did such a great job. When I say we, I'm talking about, you know, like the collective, the deep state has done such a good job at establishing these coups throughout the world, that we did it in a way that the populace of these other countries don't even have a fighting chance to take their countries back, because that's how good we did. We embedded actors within them. So this way, if they start to plan an organic revolution, they're assassinated and they're taken out. So I honestly don't see a way around eradicating the deep state without these spot check, like, and war is probably not the correct word for it, but these like strategic attacks are going to have to happen around the world in order to get rid of the deep state.
that's probably one of the reasons why I need to read Soft War. Ash and I think, are going to do it next on Badlands Book Club, because I think that the strategy President Trump has taken thus far by using sanctions and you know, financial means to exert his will rather than might is something that can be much more, you know, beneficial to society as a whole.
It does, but I mean, let's just be honest. That buys us the time that we need right now, but it doesn't kill the deep state. And if the deep state is not killed by January 19th of 2028, then we're right back at this. Like, the deep state has to be annihilated by the time we get to the next swearing in of the next president. Because if it's not, everything that we accomplish is going to be status quo. Flip it over, the pendulum swings back this way, and then it's the roller coaster again.
Yeah, I agree. Just FYI, that 100% is an F-22. And just so you know, that this is an F-22 silhouette and this is an F-35 silhouette. You can notice the tail wing, the tail fins are dead flat on an F-35, and on an F-22 they have that bend.
Back to the silhouette on the F-22,
like the pin. Not only that, the source. There's the F-22. Notice the tail fins.
Okay, I'm looking.
That's the F-22.
Okay.
That's the F-35. And just
We'll go to the F-22.
so you know, Breaking Defense calls it an F-22 pin as well. So, you know, I know a thing or two about aviation. It's kind of like my low key hobby is aircraft, especially World War II aircraft, but aircraft in general. And also, I saw somebody in the chat said that you think the F-35 is superior to the F-22, and you're a fucking crackhead. You are smoking crack if you think the F-35 can even hang with the F-22. Not even close. Not even close.
Okay.
All right.
You could feel that way. You can feel that way.
It's not a question of feeling that way. The F-35 is the biggest hunk of shit that we've ever put out there. That thing is garbage. Pure garbage. There's a reason it hasn't replaced the A-10 yet.
War we choose, or any war that is thrust upon us, should our enemies choose foolishly to challenge us, they will be crushed by the violence, precision, and ferocity of the War Department. In other words, to our enemies, F-A-F-O.
Hell yeah.
If necessary, our troops can translate that for you. Another way to put it.
Oh, so I know why this is doing that, because I am sharing the wrong video. There we go. Now I've got the right one. All right. Apologies.
Welcome, everyone, to Marine Corps Base.
Commander-in-Chief, George Washington, the first leader at pursuit. Not because we want war. No one here wants war. But it's because we love peace. We love peace for our fellow citizens. They deserve peace, and they rightfully expect us to deliver it. You feel it,
okay,
I feel it. This is a moment of urgency, mounting urgency. Enemies gather, threats grow. There is no time for games. We must be prepared. If we're going to prevent and avoid war, we must prepare now. We are the strength part of peace through strength.
Okay, so that was like kind of a concerning thing. Like
The way
between
he starts that conversation off.
What's that?
The way he starts that conversation off.
Yeah, like you feel it, I feel it. This is urgent right now. Like, whoa, what am I missing? What are we missing here? Who? I mean, I know China is kind of moving, but I don't see that happening. You know, we're too dependent. There's too much economic dependency with us and China, China to us, and you know, and vice versa, and even Russia with the EU. Like there's too much interdependency between all of these nations. Trump, when he was at the UN, was trying to wean the EU off of that Russian oil for like the 5th year in a row, but it's not happening. So
okay, you're looking at these wars as if, for instance, you know, China, and we say China, you know, China's deep state. This is not a war of China to take over the United States for every reason that you just outlined, and I agree with you. These are wars to create mass casualty events within our military, create logistic crisis for us, an economic crisis for us, so that the people turn on Trump and Trump's removed from office. That's what any of these wars is designed to do, to remove the most powerful man in the world from office, to allow everybody to get back into place and make it revert back to the way it was. That's what they want. It's not about conquering lands.
I don't know, man. I don't have the same urgency that Hegseth has here. I appreciate everything that he's doing for the military and I think it's necessary, but I don't have that, you know, kind of doom that he has. Like me, I don't know.
Dude, is Israel just freaking missile striked Qatar? Now, granted, Trump
that was like 2 weeks ago.
I know.
Yeah, and then Trump came out and said that will never happen again.
Yeah, and then he made Bibi his bitch and made Bibi call and apologize. But it's still, what does that tell you? They're trying to create a war by proxy.
Yeah,
and that's the threat that exists.
Yes.
Look, you know, I don't know if you caught the conversation that I've had or the one that me and Josh had, but you have Hezbollah and, you know, Iranian ties to Venezuela. And Venezuela is on our back doorstep. You know, you have I don't F-35s, F-22s, they skim, the airspace of Venezuela for a reason, man. Like, something is going to pop off. And I think what we'll see Trump and our Department of Defense do is they'll do strategic attacks to prevent a full-blown war, which we know that's what the deep state wants. They want a full-blown war. Our president doesn't, but they're going to try. And then again, so the reason I brought up the recruiting posters is, there's a lot of intel that's circulating, some from Sarah Adams, some people like her, some people don't, because of her ties to the CIA, but she's not the only one saying it. You have different sources out there talking about, Al-Qaeda and other terrorist cells that are in our country. Now, whether you want to call them Al-Qaeda or you want to call them, intelligence agencies rebranded, whatever the case is they're still legitimate threats. And they're in our soil. And I've never in my lifetime remember ever seeing recruiting efforts to join any federal government like I'm seeing right now. And is it because they're preparing for, like an exponentially greater summer of love? We have the No Kings things that are going to be coming again. And it just feels like they are trying to amp up those numbers because something's coming. Because here's the thing. If Trump has to deploy the Insurrection Act, then shit's going to get nasty, bro.
Yeah. And that's what I think is that, if there is going to be another war, it'll be fought within our own borders, and it will be the invasion that has gone on for the last 4 years, those, resources. It'll be a similar war to what we experienced in Afghanistan and Iraq, guerrilla warfare, wearing clothes when, wearing civilian attire, taking shots at you, putting down a rifle, and then moving on. Attacks against the infrastructure, water plants, food processing, that kind of stuff. They'll test those types of things. There's going to be, of course, digital warfare, ransomware attacks, and that kind of thing. But like a naval battle, and they talk at some point about, shipbuilding and all that. I don't think that's going to happen again.
I'm there with you. I agree on that. I think the reason they're building up the Navy so much is because of the stealth ocean threats that exist now. The subs, the underwater drones. I think it's more to start protecting the infrastructure that we have that's underwater than it is like the old, that old Midway and stuff like that. I agree with you on that.
All right, let's keep going.
The moment requires restoring and refocusing our defense industrial base, our shipbuilding industry, and onshoring all critical components.
There it is.
It requires, as President Trump has done, getting our allies and partners to step up and share the burden. America cannot do everything. The free world requires allies with real hard power, real military leadership, and real military capabilities.
All right, so that's him taking shots at NATO, as always, and they should be taking shots at them. NATO should be shamed for their inadequacies in defense spending.
Dude, I think NATO's on its last leg, bro. I don't think it's.
I do too. I do too. I firmly believe that. In fact, there was something Trump said at the UN that already to me signify. Oh no, you know what it was? It was when he was talking about sending weapons to Ukraine, and he said, if NATO wants to send weapons to Ukraine, then they can go ahead and send weapons to Ukraine. We'll sell them still to NATO, but if they want to send them, they have to send them. We're not doing it anymore. And yeah, I just feel like NATO is on its last leg. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and it'll probably be replaced by what it's the new one that he just started, the ISR, whatever, is supposed to be in charge of overseeing Gaza.
Oh, the International Security Force or whatever. Not security. What was it called? Stabilization Force.
That's probably the quasi replacement that's going to help boot NATO out the door.
I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm with you. I got that feeling about NATO.
The best way to take care of troops is to give them good leaders committed to the warfighting culture of the department. Not perfect leaders, good leaders. Competent, qualified, professional, agile, aggressive, innovative, risk-taking, apolitical, faithful to their oath and to the Constitution.
loved that segment right there. Giving leaders that aren't afraid to fuck up, but are going to do the right thing. They're going to motivate their troops. They're a leader that you would follow in to battle. A leader that you know will go above and beyond to have your back, even if shit doesn't go the way it's supposed to go. And this is talking kind of stateside type stuff. That's the kind of guy that you're like, yo, this guy's had my back the whole entire time. I've fucked up. He's fucked up. We don't want to turn our backs on him. And that is a good leader.
I agree.
This administration has done a great deal from day one to remove the social justice, politically correct, and toxic ideological garbage that had infected our department, to rip out the politics. No more identity months, DEI offices.
That's a feedback.
Dudes in dresses. No more climate change worship. No more division, distraction, or gender delusions. No more debris. As I've said before, and will say again, we are done with that shit.
Yeah, so that's just, the military is not political, and you got to get back down to brass tacks. Real quick to the point before about, a leader that fucks up and not wanting to, destroy. You don't want perfect leaders. You want good leaders. You want solid leaders. When I was, before we went on our second deployment, we had a lieutenant that was our platoon commander. And we had a problem with the EDL, the equipment list, turning in equipment in the armory. And we had a set of NVGs get misplaced. So, when NVGs go missing, like they literally lock down the base. One pair of NVGs, they locked down Camp Lejeune. And we ended up finding them. There was a hiccup when they turned them in, and Alpha Company grabbed or Bravo Company, one of them grabbed Weapons Company, a pair of our NVGs, and so our counts were off. That's it. That's all that happened. They relieved him of duty, and he was, our gunny at the time we weren't too crazy about, but he wasn't bad, but we weren't crazy about him. But our lieutenant, our platoon commander, was shit hot. Like he was good to go. And when he left, we were so fucking pissed. Like our morale was so fucking low. Now the guy that replaced him ended up being a really good guy. You ever seen the Marine poster with like the Marines, like it's a recruiting poster where they're in a straight row. They're in like a V formation and they're dressed blues. It's like a close up. I could find a picture, but that's my platoon commander. Like the guy that got replaced, or the guy that, replaced him. So, we got a good Marine to replace him, but do you want anything?
No, man, I'm good with it.
All right, let's keep going.
The new War Department golden rule is this: do unto your unit as you would have done unto your own child's unit. Would you want him serving with fat or unfit or undertrained troops? Or alongside people who can't meet basic standards? Or in a unit where standards were lowered so certain types of troops could make it in? In a unit where leaders were promoted for reasons other than merit, performance, and warfighting? The answer is not just no, it's hell no. This means at the War Department, first and foremost, we must restore a ruthless, dispassionate, and common sense application of standards. I don't want my son serving alongside troops who are out of shape, or in combat unit with females who can't meet the same combat arms physical standards as men, or troops who are not fully proficient on their assigned weapons, platform, or task, or under a leader who was the first but not the best. Standards must be uniform, gender neutral, and high. If not, they're not standards. They're just suggestions.
Amen.
The era of politically correct, overly sensitive, don't hurt anyone's feelings leadership ends right now. At every level, either you can meet the standard, either you can do the job, either you are disciplined, fit, and trained, or you are out. And that's why today, at my direction, and this is the first of 10 Department of War directives that are arriving at your commands as we speak and in your inbox. Today, at my direction, each service will ensure that every requirement for every combat MOS for every designated combat arms position returns to the highest male standard only.
Hell yes.
Hell yeah.
Hell yes.
Hell yeah. I'm
Just,
all about that one, bro.
Yeah, just real quick. That's my platoon commander in the middle. From he like this is they use this for billboards and all sorts of stuff. So whenever I see him, I'm like, hey, there's Captain Geiger.
It's
Solid
tiring to
devil
look
dog.
out at combat form.
Sorry.
No, I said that's a solid devil dog right there.
Yeah, he's got the devil chin, he's got the little butt chin and all that. He's a good dude, real good dude. Dude, when I heard him say that, I was watching live, and when I heard him say that, I was listening in the morning. I was like, fuck yeah.
You know that's one of the most important things that he can do.
Yes.
Because that right there addresses so many issues he won't even talk about, but it's going to address them because that's just the ripple effect of that you know, whatever he's calling it now, your priority, I don't know, rule, whatever it is, you know, that phenomenal, man.
Yes. Let's keep going.
Formations, or really any formation, and see fat troops. Likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading commands around the country and the world. It's a bad look. It is bad, and it's not who we are. So whether you're an airborne ranger or a chairborne ranger, a brand new private or a 4-star general, you need to meet the height and weight standards and pass your PT test. And as the chairman said, yes, there is no PT test. But today, at my direction, every member of the Joint Force at every rank is required to take a PT test twice a year.
Hell yeah.
As well as meet height and weight requirements twice a year. Every year of service.
All right. Another huge one. Because Alpha, I know you've been in the chow hall before and you see like some fucking first sergeant walk by and you're like, you know, morning first sergeant, and you walk by and you're like, how the fuck is that guy a first sergeant? That guy's he looks like he's 9 months pregnant.
He ain't running no fucking 3 mile. Ain't no fucking way. He'll die.
Yeah, like what the fuck? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I saw somebody say something about hypersonic missile, and I just wanted to make sure they weren't reporting like some breaking news.
Oh, this has been one of the big things. So for those that don't know, like in the military, like if you're in an infantry unit, combat MOS, you know, that kind of thing, you PT every morning, and they break your balls, man. Like they break you the fuck off. And, you know, those were the good old days, man. I'd get to base at 5 a.m., you know, for 5:15 formation and step off at 5:30 and on nothing but a monster and a honey bun from the vending machine. And you just run. Yeah. We'd run anywhere from 3 to 10, sometimes 25 miles every Monday, 25 miles.
Dude, it was you were in such great shape, you know, because we're Marines. We drink a lot.
Yep. And
whoever was, you know, had a crossing guard checkpoint, or, you know, was at a turning point with a little, remember the little glowing yep. straps? I can't think of what they're called right now.
I
can't think of, I know there was a funny name for them too, and I
glow straps, glow belts.
No, there was a funny name for it though.
PT belts.
I can't remember. No, the glow, like those yellow ones, whatever.
Yeah.
The second you ran around them, you could always hear them like, one of you guys smells like whiskey, bro.
Oh yeah. And
then you heard a couple chuckles because there was a couple guys, but you were still hitting freaking perfect numbers because that was a standard. And you knew how to take care of yourself to where you can have that kind of party life and still meet the standard. You see these guys now and you're like, dude, you're a fat body. Like what? And the last thing you would ever assume is that they're part of a freaking combat unit, but yet there they are. You would have thought, you know, like I said, you know, you would have thought they're chair force, right? You know, someone, you know, one of the pogues, but then you find out that these guys are in combat units and you're just like, well, all right.
How many generals when he said that? Well, no, let me keep going because there's one more that's going to make them really crazy.
Also today, at my direction, every warrior across our joint force is required to do PT every duty day. Should be common sense. I mean, most units do that already, but we're codifying it. And we're not talking like hot yoga and stretching. Real hard PT, either as a unit or as an individual. At every level, from the Joint Chiefs to everyone in this room to the youngest private, leaders set the standard. And so many of you do this already. Active, Guard, and Reserve.
Yeah, that's the clip I wanted to wait. How many generals in the audience and colonels and captains and sergeant majors are like, gosh darn it, now we're gonna have to actually PT every single day? Like they're working in an S shop or a log shop or something like that, and they're like, fuck, man, and we're not gonna be able to get away with the CrossFit, the not even CrossFit, but like the bullshit little yoga, like he said there. Like you'd go and see these guys, they'd bring in like coaches to teach them how to do like aerobics, and it looks like the 80s, like and up and up and you're like, what the fuck is that? Like get on the pull-up bar, man.
It's Marine Corps martial arts, run, push-ups, sit-ups, get up on the and pull-up bar, and that's it, man.
Yeah,
that's it. Everyone's freaking, have fun and go hit the pugil sticks. Beat the shit out of each other, something like that.
We do like Royal Rumbles where we'd like form a circle and you have to wrestle each other, but you can't get up off your hands and knees. So like you're grappling like on the ground, and you get like 10 guys 5 by 5. You start with your backs to each other, and then once you tap someone out, you go and help your buddy out, and then it's the last man standing kind of thing, or the last team standing. We do that kind of shit. We'd go out in the water and like and try and drown each other. Like you can't actually drown them, but like you hold them on, you got to be able to get them underwater, like that kind of shit. And that'll break you off, because you think it's not like you're getting there, driving your car, parking at the river, and then walking out into the river and doing it. No, you're running 6 miles to get there. And then they're like, oh, by the way, get out in the water. You're wearing full camis, you're wearing boots and utes. And you go out there in your boots and you guys are wrestling in the water and you're broke off already. It's awesome, man. I loved Hegseth is a warfighter, man.
He is.
This also means grooming standards.
Yes.
No more beards.
Damn it.
Long hair, superficial individual expression. We're going to cut our hair, shave our beards, and adhere to standards. Because it's like the broken windows theory of policing. It's like when you let the small stuff go, the big stuff eventually goes. So you have to address the small stuff.
That's a solid one. Now, granted, your special operations capable units and stuff like that, there's going to be an asterisk on that one for certain guys, and I'm good with that. But everybody else, no. Look clean.
Well, so most of the spec ops guys have to be clean when they're in Conus. Like when they're in garrison, they got to be clean shaven. Once they're deployed, they can let it grow out. And we grew. I wouldn't say we grew beards, but we'd go 5-6 days without shaving, enough that you couldn't shave it with a razor. You had to hit it with an electric razor first, because first you just don't have time. For one, you don't have time. You don't have the resources. It's not easy to get razors when you're, deployed. If it comes in a care package, great. But if it doesn't, you're using the same dull blade forever. And you're like, yeah, fuck this thing. This thing couldn't cut. This thing couldn't cut shit. And you like grinding it, dragging it across your face, and it hurts so bad.
Oh, dude, trust me, I understood that one. Freaking, I'm brown, bro. Like my beard grows in thick, always has grown in thick. So, 3 days in for me is like 10 days for you motherfuckers, bro. So, I had to find time. I'd still wait a couple of days, but I still had to do it more often than some of the other guys in my unit, because you wait too long, man, and you're like, oh God.
I had to have an electric razor when we were in garrison, because like sometimes like halfway through the day I'd have to go up and shave, because the 5 o'clock shadow is coming in pretty heavy by like 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you get yelled at. You got to go down to like the CO's office or something like that. Yeah, I got to go up and hit the buzzer, hit the buzzer real quick, and yeah. All right, let's keep going here.
The definition of toxic has been turned upside down, and we're correcting that. That's why today, at my direction, we're undertaking a full review of the department's definitions of so-called toxic leadership, bullying, and hazing, to empower leaders to enforce standards without fear of retribution or second guessing. Of course, you can't do like nasty bullying and hazing. We're talking about words like bullying and hazing and toxic. They've been weaponized and bastardized inside our formations, undercutting commanders and NCOs. No more. The 1990s test is simple. What were the military standards in 1990? And if they have changed, tell me why. Was it a necessary change based on the evolving landscape of combat? Or was the change due to a softening, weakening, or gender-based pursuit of other priorities? 1990s seems to be as good a place to start as any.
All right. So the toxic thing I fucking love, man, because you know, that's the old saying with us in the military. They're like, oh, Marine Corps has gone soft whenever you hear stories about new boots or whatever the case might be. And we get the same shit. Like when we talk to the Vietnam guys and the Korea guys, they're like, you know, they'll tell you their boot camp stories. And they're like, oh, yeah, they beat the fucking shit out of me in boot camp. And it's like, what? They weren't allowed. Like they put hands on us, but they wouldn't physically strike us. Now they can't even. Well, now I'm sure that's changing. They couldn't put hands on you. You know, they couldn't swear at you. They had to, you know, they had to give you your space if you started to break down. And it's like, what is the pussification of our military coming to? You know,
I'm glad I missed that, bro. I'm so glad I missed that.
I missed it too.
Trying to picture it is just, it's impossible. Like my brain won't allow me to go there just knowing what we were subjected to. You know, it's just, you know, the one time that I got really sick in boot camp was because one of the fat bodies that, you know, was on the double rats was for the skinny dudes. And what'd they give the fat bodies? What was it called? Was it like modified something? I don't know. You had the skinny guys got overfed. They were suffering just as much as the fat guys, but it was double rats and something else. But one of the heavy bodies in my platoon, it was during our time when it was our turn to work the chow hall. This dude put some of the cookie dough in his cargo pocket, bro.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So of course he called the guide. So I had to come over there with them. They took us within the freezer, there's a freezer. And then in that freezer, there's another freezer. Like it's so cold that when the drill instructors took us in there to PT us, they told us what to do and then stepped out into the other freezer and closed the door. So as soon as they did, it's just like, you're like 1, 2, he closed the door and you're just like, oh, it's cold. And as soon as you open the door, you're just like, you're not even counting no more, right? Because you're in pain. And then he come in, he tell you to do something else and you leave. You know what I mean? Like it was that, and that was it. I mean, if you did that now, they'd probably investigate them for that.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
And back then, and for people to understand, well, what was the point of that? Because you can imagine the words I had with that guy afterwards, and then I called the squad leaders and told them, if I ever got to go through that shit again, you guys are going to go through that shit again. So let's, it created accountability within your platoon that didn't require the oversight of the drill instructors anymore. And that's the whole point of these hazing. It develops this culture and mindset where you start to take care of yourselves because there's pride that's there, because there's a consequence if you don't, like a real fucking consequence. And when you move away from those consequences, well, then what's the deterrent for being fat and lazy?
Yeah, hazing is absolutely a part of the military. It's a necessary part because it teaches you discipline, instant obedience to orders, accountability. A lot of people don't know, like what Alpha was just saying there. If you get in trouble, you're not always the one that's going to get fucked up for it. It's going to be your leadership. And by leadership in boot camp and even in the fleet, we're talking about your guide, your squad leader. In the fleet, we're talking about your team leader, your squad leader, your section leader, that kind of thing. Maybe your it could be, well, your platoon sergeant doesn't normally get fucked up or anything. He will if it's the CO or something. But yeah,
you won't see it. You won't see what happens.
You won't, right? You don't see what happens to them. Like once you're an NCO or staff NCO, they take care of you in a separate area. They don't do it in front of the, you know, the privates and the lance corporals. So yeah, that's a pretty good. I'm all for it, man. Like I think hazing, as long as you're not like putting their life in danger. Like I didn't know this, but they used to, you know, they would fuck you up by pouring bleach in the shower and then putting the water on hot and then like making you do push-ups in the steam with the bleach. And yeah, like there was all sorts of stuff that they would do with that. And like there was another one where like if you mix bleach and I think pine sol, it like creates like a mustard gas type gas, and it can actually be like incredibly toxic. Now that shit needs to go. But we all know what take it to the tree line means, right? We all know what take it to the tree line means. You don't want to go to the tree line.
But when it comes to any job that requires physical power to perform in combat, those physical standards must be high and gender neutral. If women can make it, excellent. If not, it is what it is. If that means no women qualify for some combat jobs, so be it. That is not the intent, but it could be the result. So be it.
One spot I disagree with him wholeheartedly.
They shouldn't be allowed, period.
Period.
Yeah, me and you are going to agree there all day. But again, I think he understands that, because he understands there's going to be some anomaly where it'll probably happen. But he knows those standards, women aren't going to be able, they're not going to be able to pass them. They're not. They're just not. And that's why he's saying it is what it is.
You might find a stud, you know,
an anomaly, you know,
Amazonian. But the problem is like there's too much beyond the unit cohesion that you have. Like you remember G.I. Jane, the movie G.I. Jane.
No.
Oh no, you remember the movie G.I. Jane, Demi Moore, where she's a Navy SEAL? Something bad happened.
Something really bad just happened.
Oh no. You remember the scene? You remember the scene where the SEAL commander is like hazing
the same look as Kyle Shanahan right now.
Oh, that's not good. Pick six?
No, that would be fine with me right now.
Is Jones hurt? Mac Jones is hurt?
He's squirming in pain holding his.
Oh no. I'm glad I didn't say McCaffrey first. Oh no. All right. Well, so you remember the scene, the commander is like hazing the shit out of her, and he's like, just say quit. And she's like, suck my, right?
The ass whooping part, that was so bad.
And then he just knocks her out, right? That's the kind of shit that you can't do in the infantry and in combat MOSs that we do with men all the time. No problem. You do that with a woman and you stand the risk of the sexual harassment lawsuits and all the other shit. Yeah, it's just it's not a place for women, man. And I know that most women here that are listening would probably agree. We had Gunny Duffy on, and she was, 100% with us on that. Colonel Towner is 100% with us on this. It just, there's no place for it. And
even here comes the issue. Even with you, if you have the anomaly that is able to pass those things, there's still the mindset that a man has. There's a woman present that I need to protect. And what you're doing is you're introducing a variable to the formula that just makes it more dangerous for everybody. Because if me and CannCon are going there, I'm not worried about protecting CannCon. I know CannCon is fully capable of handling himself. Even if a woman passes every test she's supposed to pass, I still feel an obligation to make sure that I keep her safe no matter what. And that's a distraction. And distractions will get you killed in combat, period.
Amen. Amen.
We as senior leaders need to end the poisonous culture of risk aversion and empower our NCOs at all levels to enforce standards. Truth be told, for the most part, we don't need new standards. We just need to reestablish a culture where enforcing standards is possible. And that's why today, at my direction, I'm issuing new policies that will overhaul the IG, EO, and MEO processes. I call it the No More Walking on Eggshells policy. We are liberating commanders and NCOs. We are liberating you. And that's why today, at my direction, we're making changes to the retention of adverse information on personnel records.
Huge. Huge.
Say what?
that will allow leaders with forgivable, earnest, or minor infractions to not be encumbered by those infractions in perpetuity. People make honest mistakes, and our mistakes should not define an entire career. Otherwise, we only try not to make mistakes, and that's not the business we're in. We need risk takers and aggressive leaders and a culture that supports you.
So to me, that one is one of the, like that, again, going back to what I was saying earlier, that is a leader I will follow. One that is like, hey, gents, you can fuck up. It's okay. I'm going to haze the shit out of you. I'm going to get mine from you, but I'm not going to try and ruin you forever. Right. It's either
just so people know, like, you're going to learn your fucking lesson.
Yes.
But it's not going to affect your career.
Right. It's like what they used to call it, punches over paper. Like you're going to get your ass beat, but you're not going to get paper. And if you get paper, your career's over. You have no future. But if you get your ass beat, you'll remember that. I had a guy, I had a group of Marines with me that did some really stupid shit one night and got arrested, and got a judge that was just a fucking twat, man. Like just an absolute asshole. Threw the book at these guys for stealing concrete from a construction site, right? Bags of concrete just for fun. Like they were just throwing it around. And there were guys in the cell with them. They had $60,000 bonds. There were guys in the cell with them that were like legitimate trafficking drug dealers that had $5,000 bond. And the judge just hated Marines because that's how it is sometimes. All those guys got busted down. At least 2 out of the 4 would have been stellar Marines if they got to keep going, but they drank too much on a libo night, on a break.
You got to give the guys the chance to outgrow that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's so many damn Marines that some of them are gonna fuck up.
Yes,
and you're gonna destroy these careers. I think I did a pretty good job at protecting these guys out here from 29 Palms when they would come up. Now, interesting enough, I had some partners that weren't military, and they're like, "Hey, dude, that dude's drunk. He's DUI, bro. Fucking arrest him." I'm like, "No, I'm having him call his gunny." Like, Gunny's driving his ass from 29 Palms all the way out here at 3 a.m. And I would try to explain to these guys what's about to happen to him will be more impactful and short-term consequential than anything that we can do.
Yes.
All we're going to do is we're going to remove a grunt, from a combat unit. That's the only thing we're going to accomplish. And some guys got it, and that you would see them kind of carry on, when we had military that was out here that did it. But there are some cops that they were dicks. And you know what I always thought? And there was one I actually called him out one time. We didn't like each other. And I told him, I go, "Hey, just because you didn't have the balls to join, don't take it out on these guys." Oh, yeah. I won't go there because I'm going to piss people off. But
at the War Department, promotions across the Joint Force will be based on one thing: merit. Colorblind, gender-neutral, merit-based. The entire promotion process, including evaluations of warfighting capabilities, is being thoroughly re-examined. We've already done a lot in this area, but more changes are coming soon. We'll promote top-performing officers and NCOs faster and get rid of poor performers more quickly. Evaluations, education, and field exercises will become real evaluations, not box checks, for every one of us at every level. As you have seen, and the media has obsessed over, I have fired a number of senior officers since taking over. The previous chairman, other members of the Joint Chiefs, combatant commanders, and other commanders. The rationale for me has been straightforward. It's nearly impossible to change a culture with the same people who helped create or even benefited from that culture, even if that culture was created by a previous president and previous secretary. My approach has been simple. When in doubt, assess the situation, follow your gut, and if it's the best for the military, make a change. We all serve at the pleasure of the president every single day.
Amen. TV
An entire generation of generals and admirals were told that they must parrot the insane fallacy that, quote, our diversity is our strength. Of course, we know our unity is our strength. They had to put out dizzying DEI and LGBTQI plus statements. They were told females and males are the same thing, or that males who think they're females is totally normal. They were told that we need a green fleet and electric tanks. They were told to kick out Americans who refuse an emergency vaccine. They followed civilian policies set by foolish and reckless political leaders.
Amen.
That's one of my favorites right there, bro.
Yeah, that's a good one. You wanna add more to it, or?
I mean, it's nothing really. He laid it out the way it is.
Yeah,
you know, it's just one of my favorite ones.
Amen.
That's why today, at my direction, we are drastically reducing the ridiculous amount of mandatory training that individuals and units must execute.
Yes.
We've already ended the most egregious. Now we're giving you back real time. Less PowerPoint briefings and fewer online courses, more time in the motor pool, and more time on the range.
Amen.
Basic training is being restored to what it should be. Scary, tough, and disciplined. We're empowering drill sergeants to instill healthy fear in new recruits, ensuring that future warfighters are forged. Yes, they can shark attack, they can toss bunks, they can swear, and yes, they can put their hands on recruits. This does not mean they can be reckless or violate the law, but they can use tried and true methods to motivate new recruits, to make them the warriors they need to be.
Pause it, dude. That's he's such a fucking warfighter, bro. Because we and you know what motivate means, bro. That's an ass whooping, bro. He's literally saying we're going back to ass whooping, folks. Like that's what's kind of it. Just and I wanted to pause it there because you know all the vets in the chat know exactly what he just said, but you know the regular audience, the civilian audience, probably doesn't. When he says motivate, that's what he's talking about. We're going back to ass whooping in boot camp. Yeah. Well, I would argue even beyond that, but definitely as the beginning, like you're bringing back motivation. So that's so freaking awesome right there, bro.
Bringing back boot camp when you're all in the theater, you know, and you're doing the book learning, right? Learning how to be a Marine.
So, you know, it was very little PowerPoints that I got exposed to. It was MCIs, and MCIs got the job done. So did we move away from that or what happened?
So MCIs, Marine Corps Institute Learning, they're like these courses that you put on. You can get college credits and credits towards promotion and all that. And you basically read a book and then you have to answer questions, take a test, and if you pass, you get it. No, they when I was in, they were doing like PowerPoints. Some of them were good. Like we did PowerPoints on like emergency medical. Like, you know, going through the steps, like start the breathing, stop the bleeding, treat the wound, check for shock, like those kinds of things. And we do PowerPoints on those. But other than that, most PowerPoints are like the bullshit. Like if you see a woman, it's not okay to whistle at her. And if you're going out in town, make sure you're wearing a belt if you're wearing pants. And it's like, this is fucking retarded. This is so stupid. And yeah, every time somebody would fuck up, their solution.
Survive in the Marine Corps, just knowing the way Marines are, bro.
You didn't do it all the time. I mean, you do this.
No,
like once
just because I can see a devil dog in the back be like, I ain't whistling, but I'm throwing ones.
No,
Private Perez, go see the gunny.
Pretty much every time somebody would get in trouble, like on base, not just in your unit, like on base, if it was severe enough, some fucking colonel would put together a PowerPoint and would say, hey, we're going to teach all the Marines. This is how we teach them. We're going to show them this PowerPoint.
Check the box that he was addressing.
Yes, pretty much.
Back to basics at basic as well.
Yes.
We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country. No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement. Just common sense maximum lethality, and authority for warfighters. That's all I ever wanted as a platoon leader. And it's all my E6 squad leaders ever wanted, back to that E6 rule. We let our leaders fight their formations, and then we have their back. It's very simple, yet incredibly powerful.
One of my favorite remarks right there, man. So go ahead.
I want to hear your take on this because I was very lucky. You know, our ROEs were pretty laxed in the initial push. You know, but I remember having, you know, some of our guys that were part of the National Guard when I was a cop that went out there. So you're talking like 10 years later, 11 years later, 12 years later. And when they would come back and they were telling me the ROEs, I'm like, what? Like, dude, you'll get killed that way. And he goes, yeah, people did. Like, he would tell me, dude, they'd be going to like some of these remote areas, like around Mosul or something like that. And there's a freaking, you know, 11-year-old, 12-year-old that's on the roof with a freaking phone. And he was telling me how they had to call that in, and then they called it in. And he was telling me that there was cases, bro, where the decision was all the way stateside.
Yep.
I'm like, by the time that shit comes back, they've already done the deed, and your first lead vehicle or second vehicle is getting blown up. He's like, yeah. I'm like, damn, you know, it may sound harsh, but if you were in an area where you knew these people didn't have phones, and you got an 11-year-old, 12-year-old, and he's on the roof with a phone, he didn't see his next birthday. That was the end of the story.
Yeah, when we were there, we were fortunate because our highest ranking officer was a lieutenant, and that was our platoon commander, and he was pretty good to go. And so we didn't really abide by the rules as they were laid out. We didn't do anything like reckless, but you know, like if you were doing like a VCP, a vehicle checkpoint, there's like a whole breakdown that you have to go through. First, you have to wave at them. Then you have to wave a flag at them. Then you have to shoot a pen flare. Then you have to raise your rifle and point it at them. If that doesn't work, then you can shoot the engine block. If that doesn't work, then you can shoot the car.
Yeah, bro.
It's like, yo, this car is coming at me at 40 miles an hour, probably loaded with enough explosives that if it gets 100 yards from me, I'm going to have a fucking radiator go cut my head off, you know, from this explosion. And we were just like, fuck it, man. Like, you get pen flare, and if you don't respond to that, then you're done. You're getting lit up with the mod deuce, man. Yeah. So, and I mean, even on patrol, the rules of engagement were like stupid, man. Like absolutely stupid. Like, you could watch a guy shoot at you with an AK-47, go around a corner, put it down, and then walk out with his hands up and walk away. You got to let him go. And
dude,
it's like,
if we were like on a convoy move or something like that, because listen, you get some people are just retarded. You know, that retard is not something isolated to the U.S. There are retards everywhere, and you know, you're in a push, and you're the rear vehicle, and here comes one of those freaking white Datsuns with the orange fender, you know, coming up. So you're like, hey, stupid, you know, you're flashing the light, and then you shot into the hood.
Yeah.
And if that didn't stop them, then, you know, things escalated, you know, because there's no time to do all that shit.
I know.
That's, man.
I loved hearing that. You can tell that Hegseth is a warfighter.
Yeah, 100%, dude.
And he never made it above being a warfighter. And that's the important thing. And that's the key why he's in the role that he's in.
That what he said there, that's the kind of rhetoric that, you know, career military families are going to start pushing their kids back in. Because, dude, I know a lot of people that said, hey, we're 4, 3, 5 generations and my son ain't going.
Yep.
You know, the confidence wasn't there. This is the kind of stuff that's going to rebuild that kind of confidence.
Amen. This might be a longer. There we go.
We fight not because we hate what's in front of us. We fight because we love what's behind us. You see, the Ivy League faculty lounges will never understand us, and that's okay. Because they could never do what you do. The media will mischaracterize us, and that's okay. Because deep down they know the reason they can do what they do is you. In this profession, you feel comfortable inside the violence so that our citizens can live peacefully. Lethality is our calling card, and victory our only acceptable end state.
Amen.
In closing, a few weeks ago, at our monthly Pentagon Christian prayer service, I recited a commander's prayer. It's a simple yet meaningful prayer for wisdom for commanders and leaders. I encourage you to look it up if you've never seen it. But the prayer, it ends like this. And most of all, Lord, please keep my soldiers safe. Lead them, guide them, protect them, watch over them. And as you gave all of yourself for me, help me give all of myself for them. And amen. I have prayed this prayer many times since I've had the privilege of being your secretary. And I will continue to pray this prayer for each of you as you command and lead our nation's finest. Go forth and do good things, hard things. President Trump has your back, and so do I. And you'll hear from him shortly.
All right, so that's the end of that there. So we can land this here and get into rants, but the last thing I want to say is to the question that, you know, not question, but what he was saying there about the media not understanding, but realizing why, you know, that they can do what we do because of what we did. Not that what we did specifically had anything to do with it, but taking the oath to defend and uphold the Constitution and defend the country if it came down to it. You know, my somebody very close to me, I'll just leave it at that, very liberal, but very close to me. I was in an argument with them yesterday because they were saying that President Trump sending the military into these sanctuary cities to root out the illegals and help thwart the crime is treason. And I said, no, treason was the part where they let them into this country. And, you know, they asked me the conversation.
I love that response, by the way.
Yeah. Treason was letting them into this country, and treason was allowing your city to be opened up to them and subjecting American citizens to foreign actors that don't necessarily have the same cultural norms as we do and don't respond the same way that we do. And you don't know, you know, some of these people don't understand that if you get into an argument with somebody, you can't just beat the shit out of them, and you can't pull a gun on them or cut them with a knife. And we don't do that as Americans, but they do that in their country. And, you know, it's disrespectful for you to get into a fight with them. Well, then go back to your country and do that. But you can't do that over here. People don't know that. And so they're being subjected to these things. But they ended up asking me, why did you join the military to kill? Because President Trump the other day during that speech, he said, you guys are here to kill. Like, that's what you guys are here. You guys are here to kill and to break shit. And he asked me, is that what you signed up for? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And he said, you signed up just to kill. I mean, that's like rudimentary in how you're saying it, but ultimately you don't join the Marine Corps infantry to fucking go give humanitarian aid to, you know, people in New Orleans after Katrina.
We didn't join the Marine Corps infantry to go make friends abroad.
Right.
At all.
And so like that's the liberal mindset right there, is that you join the military for education, or you join the military to help people. I mean, sure, we did help people. That's a secondary mission. And I'm glad that we were able to help some people. But ultimately, what's the mission of the Marine Corps riflemen? To close with and destroy the enemy by fire and maneuver, and to repel an enemy assault by the same. It's to kill, you know, in its most basic term. So we're getting back to that. And when Pete Hegseth was first nominated to be SecDef, I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about this. I read his book, The War on Warriors, and I was like, I love this guy. I watched that speech, and I was like, I would fucking re-enlist for that guy if I was 5 years younger. So
I don't know. I'm kind of tempted right now, bro. How
much rank do we lose if we've been out for a decade,
bro? Listen, it don't put us in a fucking privates, bro.
No. Fuck, you know that.
Bro, you know what? You don't want to do the working parties and have all that fun shit again, bro.
I'm not about to be a 41 fucking year old private. You're
only going to be. Listen, you're going to fly through the ranks, bro.
getting orders from a 19-year-old Lance Corporal.
Plus, they wouldn't bring us in as anything other. It would be an NCO and above.
I have a degree now, so I could be an officer at least.
You know, you want to have fun, bro.
Yeah, I know.
I'm telling you, man. I had a conversation with someone, and they were just like, you know, you could do this, and it would be allowed, but you would be doing it for you. You know, which they said I would support you 100% behind that, you know, because you've earned it. But your nation needs you to do this. But you've earned the right to make that decision. And it was just like, dang, you pissed on my fire is what you did right there.
Yeah.
And people won't understand, and people will judge, and that's fine. You know, I have no problem with closing with and destroying with zero hesitation. Doesn't bother me. It's not going to affect my sleep at all. I can continue on with barbecuing and watching football because it doesn't come from a place of evil. It comes from a place of security and love. And that's just the warrior understanding. Just like the warrior I take on has that same mentality. In some situations, there's some people that are, you know, occultism and evil and satanic and ideologies and stuff like that. But
so the one thing that I'll land on here is the last time we had like real significant combat operations overseas was probably like 2013, 2014, maybe a little bit. 2010 to 2012 was pretty heavy in Afghanistan because we had OEF2. All those guys are getting out now, man. Like all the guys in the military, like when I go and look, like when I go to events that have Marines that are in their blues or Army guys in their, you know, dress uniforms, and I see nobody with a car, nobody with a CIB or a cab. You know, nobody's got infantry badges, combat infantry badges, or combat action badges, or combat action ribbons. Nobody's got any of that shit anymore, man. Like all the war fighters, the guys. Yeah, mine's right here. Okay. Nobody's got those anymore, man. And you know, that's a whole generation that's now lost from the military. And these are guys that, you know, 2010, it's only 15 years ago. They'd still have 5 years till retirement eligible, and
yeah,
they probably
would have been your grumpy ass old first sergeants that would have like gave you all kinds of experience.
Yep, exactly. And we don't have those guys anymore because they chased them out over the last couple of years.
Shout out for Sergeant White. So if you're still alive, you were a beast, man.
Yeah,
you were a beast. So hindsight's always 20/20. You volunteered us for some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Trojan horse, bro. This guy was, listen, he was fucking nuts, bro. Listen, he was, you know what? Shout out. I love you, First Sergeant Whitesell, but you were fucking crazy. Something was wrong with you. You're crazy.
All right. We got a couple rants here. Elizabeth 5326, $17 says, good evening, friends. Much love and many blessings. Thank you, Elizabeth. Appreciate that. Nuke Hayes, Malta, make Alpha less tardy again. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. 2812 VPJ, damn, with an A, just Army, so struggled with PT standards. 5'8" and fat boy, young remedial PT, Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and Germany. The good old days, man. The good old days.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for our show. We're going to get out of here and let G Money come up next with Rug Pull Radio.
One last thing. I haven't been able to verify this. And I don't know if you heard it, but I'm very interested in verifying this. There's information circulating that these generals and admirals were subjected to polygraph tests and are being subjected to polygraph tests.
If you confirm that, let me know, man.
So yeah, I'm putting it out there. So if anybody has that information or can provide more information, email us. That's something we didn't get to talk about more. That 100%, you don't bring 800 generals and their staff across the globe for that. I'm sorry. You don't do it. There's something else that took place that we have no idea about. They kicked all the media out and said, all right, listen here, motherfuckers. This is what's going to fucking happen. You might not like me because I'm a fucking major.
but I'm your fucking Secretary of Defense now, and you're going to suck it the fuck up or you're going to get the fuck out. That's exactly how that went down. I know it's vulgar.
With one added sentence. And if we find out any of you motherfuckers in here are treasonous, you're going to pay for it.
You will hang. Harry Vetch, last minute, says, I'm in my 50s and I contacted the recruiter yesterday. Don't think they're going to let me back in the Army. The Army's different, man. The Army's different. You can get in the Army pretty old. I knew a guy that got in at 48. There was a doctor that they let into the Army at like 60. His son was killed overseas and he went and enlisted, got commissioned as a doctor to fill his son's shoes. All right, let's get out of here. Let Alpha go watch his 49ers and Mac Jones. I heard he's back in, or he's up and jogging. I don't know if he's back in.
He was in there for a few plays, but he didn't do a whole set. He didn't do a whole series, so I don't know.
All right. Well, good luck to you guys, and thank you all so much for tuning in. Smash that thumbs up, and we will see you next time.
They say confidence starts with smooth skin. And baby, Soft Disclosure Lotion delivers.
I swear by this stuff. Like, I kid you guys not. This is the first lotion I've ever had in my entire life that, like, I don't get ashy after I put it on any part of my body. Like, my hands are always dry, and my hands have not gotten ashy without, like, rinsing them through water and washing them with soap since I started putting Soft Disclosure on. Like, it is black man approved. I kid you not.
Black man approved. You heard him. And let's be real. If it can handle his hands, it can handle anything.
Feet are like, they get so dry, like the heels of them, it'll just kind of like flake off. Like, but with Soft Disclosure, once you put it on, like it starts to absorb it.
Yeah, he went there. Don't worry, we won't show you his feet, but trust us, they're smoother too. Soft Disclosure Lotion is made with aloe, goat's milk, honey, and our exclusive oil blend that actually restores your skin barrier. Visit softdisclosure.com, use code BADLANDS, and get 15% off.